And welcome to our community. Susie Thomas here with you this morning, joined by Doug Scholes and Tildy Bricker, both from the Columbus office of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is always a tough topic. This one's hard. Usually people who are involved with Mothers Against Drunk Driving have very personal reasons for doing so. Is that true in either case of you?
I think, that the facts are very disturbing. 1 in 3 people will personally be affected in their lifetime, and by personally affected by a family member, by a close friend, by a loved one, and absolutely has happened to me, and I'm sure, I don't want to speak for Tildy, but almost anyone that you talk to has had that happen to them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. A good friend a few years ago, beautiful daughter, engaged to be married, and suddenly all that is taken away, and you just feel so robbed and so violated by this senseless crime. This is so preventable, and I think that's what makes everyone so angry, and the acronym MADD is so perfect, MADD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Tell us a little bit about the history. How did this organization begin?
Well, this year is our 35th anniversary, so about 35 years ago, there were 2 families, and their children had been hit by a drunk driver, and there were serious injuries, and then, they had passed away, and those 2 mothers that were on opposite sides of the country had come together to form the organization called Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and in such a short period of time, we've been able to reduce drunk driving dramatically, and within Ohio itself, probably by about 75% of the fatalities have been reduced now over the last 19, 20 years.
Oh, that's fantastic. I should say this is Tildy Bricker that we're speaking with right now. You are victim service specialist. Tell me what that means. What do you do for victims?
Basically, when they call in and this has just happened to them, they're in a state of crisis and they need support, and we're there to provide it for them every step of the way. The court case may be over. We accompany them to court, but we stay in touch and work with them as things don't just go away because the court case is over.
Mm-hmm. When you say work with them, is that talking to them, being a listening ear? What do people need at that point?
We like to provide crime victim literature that helps them emotionally. It helps them with different things that they would expect through the criminal justice system. We help them with a lot of different types of referrals. Sometimes we'll do referrals for court. They might need an attorney, a civil attorney, and we help provide those referrals for them. Sometimes they need help with crime victim compensation. We help provide, information for that because there may not be insurance in their particular case. So what do they do in that situation when there's nothing, to help them because no one had insurance? Well, we can help them with that. It's called crime victim compensation. And then, there's other things that, they might need some with, mental health services. There's different therapies that are very helpful, and it has to be pretty much tailored according to each individual case because every case is different.
Well, I wonder if there is a time that different victims get together. Are there support groups where victims can share from like experiences?
Yes, we have something online where they can, through Facebook, they can find Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and there's a support group there. It's a closed group just for them so that they could share information amongst each other across the country.
Mm-hmm. Tildy's joined also by Doug Scholes, who is the State Executive Director. Good morning again, Doug. And please let us know what the State Executive Director does in this effort.
Well, I think my job is wearing several hats. As a director of a nonprofit organization for Ohio, we want to ensure that our mission is completed above all things, and that's to stop this crime from happening again. And as Tildy was saying, we want to support those victims as well. We also have a third prong of our mission is to prevent underage drinking. So we're involved in 3 different arenas that way. But most of all, our focus is to stop this crime from happening. Like you mentioned already, it's 100% preventable. This is not like cancer or a terrible disease or even an act of terrorism, which you just heard about. We can prevent this from happening. This is something that's a deliberate choice made, bad choices, but they're deliberate choices made. And a lot of this is just educating the public and then really raising the awareness level as well, because sometimes when you don't talk about it, people become complacent about it. So we want to keep people in the forefront of this. This is happening every day, and it kills 10,000 people every single year in our country.
That's just an unbelievable statistic. I think of the campaign, Friends Don't Let Friends Drive Drunk. Are those effective?
You know, those, I don't, you know, there's not a lot of stats to prove their effectiveness, but I can say this, that the more we keep the awareness level raised, the better off, or the better chance we have of keeping our roads and communities safe. We'll hear things like over the limit under arrest, drive sober, get pulled over, the national crackdown campaigns. And these are all great messages, just again to keep this in the forefront of people's minds, that before you go out, plan ahead, have a non-drinking designated driver. And that's the important thing that I see as a director here, is so many times I don't think people go out with the intention of hurting someone, but I think once they go out without a plan how to get back, then their plan is not usually a very good one.
And it seems that over the past 35 years, that seems to be a very accepted practice, doesn't it? Having somebody designated as the driver home, or an understanding that someone will come pick people up later if they insist on drinking that night, and that they know they're going to be drinking in excess. For some reason, they're making that choice. Does it seem that over the past 35 years, more people are also making the choice to have someone else do the driving?
Well, I think that's precisely spot on. One thing I think MAD can really, we're proud of, but we have a lot of work left to do, is that back in 1980 when we started as an organization, there was a completely different attitude in our country and around the world, quite frankly, about drinking and driving, about driving impaired. People called it a rite of passage almost, and it was kind of a faux pas, nothing to really be concerned about. Again, when Candace Leitner started the organization in 1980, she was fed up with it, and because nothing was really done about it back then. So there's been a huge paradigm shift, and I think MAD has been responsible for, in large part, for that. And now today we hear coined phrases like designated driver, get a friend to drive a friend home. These are things that I think are because we made a change in the social attitudes about driving impaired today. It's not an acceptable practice. It's not tolerated anymore.
Do you have some good advice on how to ask someone to turn their keys over to you? If you're
I don't know if there's any one way. I think you're right. It's a way that you approach folks. I would kind of step back though and say the biggest thing that we can do is to get that message out ahead of time to folks. So if you're hosting a party, be a good, responsible social host, and tell people that, you know, we don't want you to drive home after you've been drinking a lot. Do you have a way of getting home? I will take you home gladly, or you can spend the night, or other alternatives. But I think being proactive on the front end is a much better way to approach it, because you're right. I mean, people don't want to be faced with that situation. We certainly want to be confrontational about it. But at some point, we're talking about lives being saved. So there's not any one answer for that. But again, I think being proactive in the front end helps a lot.
So having a plan before you get started is the thing to do. Do things like, is it Uber driving? Am I calling that the right thing? The cars? Uber. Is that making a difference?
Actually, Uber is caught on quite well. It's taking off quite a bit, and it's become very popular along a great deal of the population, just for the reasons you stated. It is a very convenient way for someone at a bar or a place where they've had too much to drink to call on an app very quickly and get a ride home. So it's been very successful. We're for any kind of mechanism, a safe mechanism to get someone home in a safe manner, in a responsible manner.
We're speaking with Doug Scholes, who is the state executive director, and Tildy Bricker, who is victim services specialist from Mothers Against Drunk Driving, both of them calling from the Columbus office, and we certainly do appreciate your time today. We're speaking with you because we're getting into December, which is National Impaired Driving Prevention Month, and you've got a couple of special events that we want to talk about. First of all, let us know about the first ever National Day of Remembrance.
Okay, that's coming up on December the 3rd, and it's first of its kind because it's going to be celebrated across the whole country. It could be at different times of that particular day in different places, but the theme is that they will be remembering victims of drunk driving. and having a place for everyone to come to the table on that day.
That's such an impactful visual that you have as far as that empty place that's left at the table when a family member is taken from someone. That I understand is where the "you always have a place" is coming from. Tell us, what can we do to participate? I think you have a hashtag campaign, different things going on.
Right. They could get through social media, Facebook, for example, and they could get onto the MAD page, national page, and there's a hashtag. It's hashtag MAD Remembers.
Okay.
And so that would help bring it up. If they just got on a computer and punched that in, that would come up. And then they would go to visit mad.org/place setting, and they could dedicate online a place setting tribute in honor of a loved one.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Very beautiful.
What kinds of posts would you like to see for people to post with the hashtag Mad Remembers? Pictures of their loved ones, for instance, or other kinds of things?
Yes, I think that would be very appropriate. They could go into the web page, and they could even do a tribute page there on the MAD website, www.mad.org. I think that's a beautiful thing, and then even write something about their loved one that they'd want to share. And other people can also, if they tell others about it, they can also go in and write something there on that tribute page.
This is good. All right, all taking place December the 3rd. And anyone can participate. Hashtag MAD, capital M, capital A, capital D, remembers, all lowercase. And I'm sure then you can search that hashtag and see what other people have posted as well. That's not all you've got. The Tie One On for Safety is an annual event. Let us know about that.
I'll go ahead and speak up. We're in our 29th year of this event. This is an event that officially kicks off over the holiday period, primarily between Thanksgiving and New Year's Day. And we have red ribbons, MAD ribbons, that we, in fact, all the Highway Patrol posts will have those on their vehicles. We can get those at our MAD office by going to mad.org/OH for Ohio, or calling our MAD office, and we will give out ribbons. But the focus of the event is for motorists to tie a ribbon onto their vehicle. And it's a pledge to drive safe and sober, or to plan ahead for a non-drinking designated driver. And the ribbon reminds people to see that ribbon to do the same thing. So it's an awareness campaign, again, like we were talking before, awareness to raise the level of people over the holidays driving impaired.
Is this a fundraising campaign? You want specific red ribbons, or anyone can just grab a red ribbon and tie it around their antenna, for example?
Now, we're proud to have Nationwide as our presenting sponsor nationally, and so there's no cost to anyone. We want this to be a widespread awareness campaign, and ribbons are just for the asking.
Oh, nice. Okay, so is it a red ribbon?
It's a red ribbon, that's correct, and it has a MAD on it, and again, it's a very symbolic pledge to drive safe and sober over the holiday period. And
folks who want the official red ribbon, how do we get that?
We can call the MAD office at 800-552-8641, or again, go to our website, mad.org/OH.
Okay, and I think that would be great to have all of us driving around with red ribbons throughout the entire holiday season, Thanksgiving and Christmas and into New Year's, and just remind everyone to drive safely and not to drink and drive. We are speaking with Doug Scholes and Tildy Bricker. We'll be back in just a moment. You're listening to Our Community.